but faster.
Joe, what do you think of my beard?
I like your beard. It looks good today.
See?
I heard the ding. I knew you were trying to set me up.
Hey, Jay didn't say anything this morning. Maybe he was scared to say something.
No, I'm saying what he's saying.
What?
I was like, shook it when I seen shook it. That's what it shook it. Let the people see.
No.
People see. Yeah.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Joe.
How are you, buddy?
Pretty good, man.
Man, did you get this? Look. When you need to grind at Dave's shop, you used an office extension thing into an
look how
extension
many
cord.
things you can plug in now.
No, like,
multi-accessory.
man.
John,
What?
we need the extension cord.
Do you?
Hey, share it. You gotta share, guys. Come on now. We can only afford
Carry.
one.
Keep my dick.
Wow.
Man, Chase is an asshole.
I know. I'm telling you. That's
Oh,
why,
it gets worse.
that's why Chase is getting fired. We're hiring Joe. So, as you guys saw in the last video, we actually got Vic's car started. We dropped some merchandise, and then you guys saw the new truck we picked up. Anyways, Vic's car has not left, actually. After the first startup, we didn't know this, but I guess originally he had a Gen 1 Coyote block in there that that's the one that ended up blowing, and so when he sent it to RPG, it was actually no longer good, so they switched to a Gen 2 block, and honestly, I didn't know this. I don't know Gen 1s that well. I'm not very versed in them, but it's all a learning process. So I'm gonna be upfront with you guys. I actually didn't know this. The Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3, I knew the Gen 2 and Gen 3 Coyote oil filter adapter housings were actually slightly different because I had to switch mine on when I actually switched to Gen 2 heads and all that stuff. We switched the oil filter adapter housing to the Ford Performance one, which is from a Gen 2. And so the Gen 3 one, I actually looked at them and they actually are a little bit different. Not by much, but they're different. Now the Gen 1 and Gen 2 are very different. So this is the oil filter adapter housing that was on Vic's. It's a Gen 1. And when we started this car up, everything started up good, idled fine, but it started pissing oil out the bottom. And I figured, oh, maybe an oil turbo feed line or oil return line was loose, or maybe the oil filter was loose, something we just like slightly overseen. It happens when you're doing these builds from bottom up. But it took us a few hours to kind of figure out where it was coming from because unfortunately, it's kind of a mess right now, but unfortunately with these Hellion kits, there is so much going on here. It's really hard to access stuff down there, even from the bottom when you get the car on the lift. So finally, I looked at it while they started the car and I just saw the oil just literally pissing out of the oil filter adapter housing. So I was like, man, maybe a seal is bad. But then in the back of my head, and I actually said this, I was like, there's no way it would leak that much oil from a bad gasket, but it's possible. It's possible. Everything else is brand new. So ordered the gasket. Gasket comes in. Kennedy actually goes to pick it up from the dealership. She shows me a picture and I was like, yep, the oil filter adapter housings are completely different because I ordered a gasket for a Gen 2 thinking, you know, it's a Gen 2 block. It has a Gen 2 oil filter adapter housing and the gasket was completely different. So that's when I knew the oil filter adapter housing was actually different. So then I called her, I said, well, here's the part number for a Gen 2, order that oil filter adapter housing. Well, there's actually 2 oil filter adapter housings for Gen 2 Coyotes. There's one for a 3-wire sensor and one for a 2-wire sensor. And the 2-wire sensor is actually on like national back order, can't get it till like March or April. And the 3-wire sensor was actually gonna be, or could be here in 4 days. So luckily, it was a 3-wire sensor. We had it put in yesterday morning. Car fired right up, started idling. Everything was good to go. But then we noticed some stuff with the watt box, kind of played with the wiring, and noticed some of the wires were bad. There was some rotting showing in the wires. And so then we had issues of getting the car to start back up, or it was throwing a TPS signal. So we knew it was either TPS sensor related or watt box related, because then the car would start up and we'd get no pedal action. So when you touch the pedal, nothing would happen. So then we thought it was the TPS sensor. Kind of rare for those to go bad this early on, but it's possible. The car's been sitting a long time. But this morning I came in, played with some of the watt box wiring, and it, as you guys saw, fired right up. I turned the camera off, but I went to press the pedal, and the pedal is responsive now. So car's good to go. I gotta actually like clean up all the wiring. I just kind of touched everything together this morning because I didn't want to like crimp it, solder it, do all that good stuff, and then have to redo it if something was still wrong. So now we can put Vic's car back together. Unfortunately, every car in here, the battery is dead on them. I don't know, it's because a lot of these cars have been sitting a long time, but there's like 3 batteries in here from these cars and they're all dead. But a lot of these cars have been sitting a long time, especially Vic's. I think his car sat 1.5 years before it got here. So yeah, we're gonna go get a battery tender and try and get these batteries going. But his car can actually go back together now. We can actually do the break-in miles, get some data logging going, get some tunes sent to, or some revisions sent to Lund so they can adjust it, and Vic's car should be good to go, hopefully. Cross your fingers. You guys saw Streetcar Joe was over here earlier, or yesterday, early in the video. He'll be back over here today to finish it up. But we had to do some clearancing on the BMR K member. So if you get a BL Fab single turbo kit, just know that you either need to run a Steeda K member or stock K member, because the BMR will not clear just the way they position the bar. But what we did, it's kind of a mess in here, don't judge us, but we actually shaved a pretty large oval out, and then Joe's actually reinforcing this with some 3/16 steel. Now you could probably use like, I don't know, 1/8" steel, but he just wanted to reinforce it really good. But with cutting this little half moon out, you probably didn't have to go this wide actually, but we just decided to give it a little bit extra clearance. So yeah, we cut this out, hired Joe to come weld it in. He's got to finish the corners up. My grinder took a shit yesterday, so I had to go buy a new grinder. But yeah, once Joe finishes welding that up, we'll throw some paint on it so it doesn't rust, and then we can actually start assembling his turbo kit back together and start making some headway on his car, because we already took some time and hid the wiring. Chase hid the PCM over there, got some of the large wiring kind of clamped to the engine. We're still going to heat wrap it just in case that stuff moves around when the car's running. But once Joe welds that, we can paint it, and then hopefully this week start assembling the turbo kit, put his fuel system on, wire up boost controller, all that good stuff, and start some data logging, some revision, some tuning on his. So we'll keep you guys updated. Chop. All I want to say, oh, no, we need the light on.
Yeah, let's see, you need the light on.
Chase is better at diagnosing than I am. First drive in Vic's car. This one, this car kicked our effing ass. Why you standing like that, bro? Yeah. Why you so big for no reason?
Why you big for no reason?
But, so Vic's car came to us with no engine, nothing, box of parts. Me and Chase literally, from scratch, put this car together. Built bottom end from RPG. Chase and I did the heads, cams, degreed them, locked them, put the clutch in that I just fried, trans, drive shaft, literally built this freaking car from scratch. And this is the first drive, so prayers.
Shift it again. For no reason.
For no reason. This is crazy. Now look how dirty it is.
Hey David, why is it smoking?
What you smoking, man? I'm not smoking, I'm breathing.
Why is it smoking out the hood?
We spit a little oil in the exhaust ramp. Damn. It needs a bath.
How do you feel?
Like my balls are free.
It is really cold.
Yeah, this is really cool.
No bumper?
Pretty crazy.
Yurt?
What? Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed all the content on Vic's Twin Turbo Hellion car. That car was here a while, and it was just, we pretty much picked up that car from another shop. Vic decided to bring it here when he wanted to put it back together. He's actually owned that car 3 years, he was telling me, and he's only driven it for like a total of a month. So hopefully he can drive a little bit longer this time. But yeah, we picked up Vic's car, literally boxes of parts, missing stuff. Got an RPG short block for it, shout out Will, and we had to assemble the whole thing. So it was a big learning curve for me because I've never degreed Coyote cams before. Actually, I don't think I've ever degreed cams before, so it was a huge learning curve, and especially degreeing cams on a Coyote is insanely time consuming. But once you kind of wrap your head around doing it, it all makes sense. It's just, it takes a lot of time. You got 4 cams, you got to degree each one of them individually. Anyways, so we got the short block from RPG. We did ARP head studs, Cometic head gaskets. He had actually, I think they're MMR cams from our buddy Johnny. So we did MMR cams, we locked them, and then pretty much just put the car back together from everything he had before. So it's a manual car, so we put the McLeod clutch back in it. The clutch was in good condition, obviously he hadn't drive very much. Put the MT-82 back in, put the Barton shifter back on. I mean, this car was literally torn apart. The shifter wasn't even in there. Put the Barton shifter back on, got the drive shaft in, put the full exhaust back on, got the engine up in there, turbo kit. And what had happened, as you guys saw earlier, was at some point his block was actually, they had a Gen 1 block in there. So we had a lot of parts from a Gen 1, and I didn't know. I mean, now I know, it makes sense. I mean, I just didn't think about it, I guess. But the Gen 2 oil filter adapter housing is a lot different. I know the Gen 2 and Gen 3 are different because I had to swap mine on my own car, but I didn't realize the Gen 1 and Gen 2 were different. But I kind of had a feeling because when we were putting it on there, it just didn't look right. But they're all pretty damn close. So if you hadn't seen one before, I haven't seen a Gen 1 before, and I didn't know that he had a Gen 1 block in there before, or I knew after the fact that he had a Gen 1 block in there. Anyways, either way, it was incorrect. We had to take a bunch of shit apart. because those twin turbo Hellion kits sit on top and they literally connect to a full exhaust. So they've got exhaust pipes going down and around the back. And the way the Hellion kit works is use the stock header, but it goes back towards the rear, then wraps around and comes back towards the front. So right where like the alternator sits, the oil filter adapter housing, I mean, there's tons of pipes and lines going right there for the turbo kit. So we had to pull all that back off, switch the oil filter adapter housing, and yeah, it was a nightmare for sure. And we ran into a few electrical issues with the watt box, and I don't know if it's because the car was sitting for a while or what had happened, but some of the wires were kind of rotted. They just didn't look like good wire on the inside. So we ripped the watt box out. The TPS signal was still bad, so I actually had to unpin the connector that goes to the PCM and get a new wire and a new pin and redo that and solder it in. So that was fun. So anyways, his car's running. It's running really good. He's in the break-in period right now, so like according to RPG, they want like 200 to 300 miles. So he's on 93 right now. Car's running good. The logs looked good. So we sent the car home so that he could put break-in miles on it. Vic's gonna put break-in miles on it. He's gonna bring it back. We're gonna do first oil change, get the break-in shit out of there, and we'll put some good driven oil in there, and then we'll switch it over to E85, and we'll start tuning with some power. But right now he's got to break the engine in, get the rings to seat properly, and yeah, it was a learning curve to say the least. Golly, can't even speak. That thing kicked my ass so bad. But just kidding. It was a good experience. Learned a lot in a short amount of time. But huge thanks to Vic for bringing it over, and huge thanks to my buddies Nick and Johnny for sending him over. Hopefully he's happy. There's some stuff that I would personally redo on the car, but a lot of the stuff we just kept the same from how it was before, so that he could get it running, get it broken in, and then if he wants to, you know, bring it back and have us upgrade some stuff and change some things, we can always do that. But it's running, it's tuned, he's getting to drive it. That's the cool part, and that's the most exciting part. And he actually super busy with what he does for work in Lubbock, so I actually delivered the car to him Sunday night. Got home around midnight and then had to wake up at 4:30 a.m. to go to work. So that was cool. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to get him his car, and I wanted him to enjoy it because he hasn't got to enjoy it in a long time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you're wondering where the hell my car is, let me tell you real quick. My car has been sitting for 4 freaking weeks. I think we might be going on week 5, ready to get painted. The hood shows up like literally right before Christmas, and the plan was me and Huffman were gonna mount the hood and get that thing ready to be painted the day after Christmas. Well, the hood shows up, and the shipping company, I guess they wanted to play frisbee with my fiberglass hood because it looked like a dinosaur ate the corners of it. So yeah, we weren't able to make that work. So then they don't like produce this hood very commonly because it is an 18 plus, and so the front ends are slightly different, as you guys know, on the 18 plus. So not that many people make pin-on hoods. There's actually only one company right now, and so they made me a new one, and it's actually showing up today. So hopefully I'm headed over there to pick it up. Hopefully it's in good condition, because then we can literally take it to Huffman's, get the Zeus rails on, mount the hood, and the damn thing can be painted already. Holy shit! It's freaking middle of January already, people! So hopefully the next video you see will be an update on my car. Hopefully. If not, I'm lighting it on fire. We'll see you on the next one.